Manchester United have suffered. And I'm sure United fans will agree with me as well. Ever since Sir Alex Ferguson retired in 2013, it has been from one problem to another. It has been mayhem. And of course, last season, Manchester United finished 8th in the Premier League season, which is their lowest ever, finish in the Premier League since the league started in 1992. And I can tell you that even though Manchester United won the FA Cup, it's not smooth sailing entirely at Manchester United. However, there is new ownership. The INEOS football group, led by Sir Jim Ratcliffe, have taken over the footballing decisions in the club. In this video, we will be looking at the 5 things INEOS can do to take Manchester United back to the top again. This is the Football Slides TV, and if you're new here, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click on the notification button. I beg. Thank you. So what are the 5 things that INEOS should do to take Manchester United back to the top again? We've always known Manchester United to be one of the best clubs in the world. In times past, when Sir Alex Ferguson was there, if you're mentioning the top teams in the world, you mention Real Madrid, you mention Barcelona, you mention Bayern Munich, you have to mention Manchester United. But these days, Manchester United have become a shambles. It's just, in fact, it's been a laughing stock over the past few years. So we need to look at what INEOS should do to take Manchester United back to the top again. And in at number 1, they need to complete what I will call the Avengers assemble. Now, this is not we're not talking about sci-fi movies here. But when I'm talking about Avengers here, I'm talking about the team of exceptional football talents that Sir Jim Ratcliffe is bringing together to complete the front office for Manchester United. Now, I released a video a couple of months back where I explained how Manchester United have not had any structure to the entire club for years since 2013. I will leave a link to that video in the description below. However, one of the first things INEOS have tried to do since coming in, they've tried to get the right people into the club. They first started by appointing former Manchester City executive Omar Berrada as the chief executive officer of Manchester United, and they've gone ahead and gotten Jason Wilcox. They are working on getting in Dan Ashworth from Newcastle, coupled with Sir Dave Brailsford, who has already come in and has started working. And of course, we know Jean-Claude Blanc, who has already been working with INEOS as their head of football operations. These are exceptional people that are well known in the football world as people that understand the game and know how to get a club working properly. They need to complete the assembly. Now, currently, there's only Jason Wilcox and Sir Dave Brailsford working at Manchester United. Omar Berrada should be joining before the start of the new season, and Dan Ashworth is still on gardening leave. Newcastle, proving a hard nut to crack for Manchester United, trying to ensure that they get him late, probably after the transfer window. But INEOS need to be patient and wait for this entire Avengers team to come together and walk Manchester United back to the top, because I believe that these guys are good at their job and they know how to get a club working, and if they are given the right tools, they can get Manchester United to the top again. And number 2, set the culture. Now, Manchester United has been, like I said at the start, a mayhem, and one of the major things that has made Manchester United a laughing stock in English Premier League is the fact that there's been so many fallouts. Now, just last season, Jadon Sancho fell out with the manager. The manager came out to the press and said, Jadon Sancho was not training properly. That's why he wasn't in the matchday squad. Only for Sancho to come on Twitter and say, he trained properly and, go against the manager publicly. Things also happened with Anthony having legal issues, Greenwood having legal issues. Even Cristiano Ronaldo, one of the greatest players of all time, had issues while he was at Manchester United and was literally chased out after coming publicly to slag off the manager and slag off the entire club. Manchester United is always in the spotlight. We've always known that the likes of Paul Pogba and Jesse Lingard, so many players while they were at Manchester United were either lazy, did not work hard, preferred their social media handles to their performance on the pitch. And it's just been really poor, the culture at the club. Now, in 2022, when Erik ten Hag was appointed as the manager of Manchester United, one of the reasons why he was appointed was because he was a disciplinarian. They believed that the club needed someone who could take the bull by the horn and discipline players who fell foul of the rules and regulations. And he has tried to do that largely, although with a little backlash from the media. I mean, that's normal. English media, would always backlash Manchester United manager no matter what he does, right or wrong. However, INEOS need to stick with such a philosophy. They need to set the culture. And the culture that should be set for a club like Manchester United should be discipline, should be work ethic, and should be the best in class. I mean, INEOS should go out and make sure that everybody is doing the work. When you look at clubs like Manchester City, clubs like Real Madrid, clubs that are well run, that's the first thing you see. They have a culture. They know, everybody knows what to do, and they do it. And I believe that regardless of whether they are to stick with Erik ten Hag as the manager or not, this is something that they need to get right. Setting the culture right, discipline, work ethic, and best in class. In at number 3, they need to fix the recruitment. Manchester United are a laughingstock. Also because Manchester United have made it a habit of buying players for ridiculous amount of money that actually don't fit the bill. Let's even start from Anthony. I mean, Anthony has become a meme all over the media. We all know the eyebrow thing and, all the spinning, and we know all the things that Anthony does. And listen, lads, Manchester United signed Anthony for £80 million. It's a lot of money. It's a whole lot of money. Let's not forget also the signing of the likes of Harry Maguire for another £80 million, the likes of Aaron Wan-Bissaka for £50 million. These players are just not up to the money. And it's because the recruitment department have not been doing their duties. Manchester United under Sir Alex Ferguson will go out and get some literally unknown players for a very small amount of money and then build these players to become the best in the world. For instance, Nemanja Vidic, he was signed from Spartak Moscow for a ridiculous amount of money. And when he was signed, nobody knew about him. Everybody thought, he was just one player to warm the bench for Manchester United. But he ended up becoming one of the best players in the Premier League of all time. Another one is Patrice Evra. He was also another not very known player that was signed by Sir Alex Ferguson. And then he came to Manchester United and became one of the best left backs, if not the best left back of his generation. These are just examples of some of the signings that Manchester United did in times past that were not expensive, but were actually the kind of players that had the right skill and mentality to play for Manchester United. And this has to be fixed. The recruitment has to be fixed. Enough of buying players for ridiculously high amounts of money and then selling them for ridiculously low amounts of money. I mean, it's the exact opposite of what recruitment should be like. And I believe that with the likes of Dan Ashworth and Jason Wilcox coming into the door at Manchester United, they should be able to get that right. They need to fix the recruitment, buy players for lesser amounts of money, and not just lesser amounts of money, but players that are actually good enough, skill and temperament to play for Manchester United. In at number 4, they need to fix the infrastructure. I mean, we've all laughed at Manchester United. We've all said Old Trafford is no longer the theatre of dreams, but now the theatre of streams, because, when it rains, the roof is leaking down water, and, the training ground is in horrible shape. Cristiano Ronaldo, during his infamous interview with Piers Morgan, he said that when he came to Manchester United in 2005, the same way the training ground was in 2005 was the exact same way it is now. So there was no change made to the training ground since 2005. Frankly ridiculous. So INEOS have come in now, and this is one of the things they must do to get Manchester United back to the top again. Carrington has to be restored to one of the best in class. When Carrington was built, it was the best around. But now there are so many training grounds in the country that are so much better than Manchester United's training ground. And if Manchester United want to call themselves the biggest club in England, their training ground needs to be the biggest in England as well. It needs to be the best in class. They need to upgrade it and make sure that it is worth the name of Manchester United. Also, Old Trafford needs to be redeveloped. They need to fix the leaking roofs. They need to fix the leaking dressing rooms. There are so many things that needs fixing at Old Trafford, and INEOS need to fix it to ensure that Manchester United are no longer a laughingstock in the Premier League. And finally, the 5th thing INEOS need to do to get United back to the top is patience. And not just for INEOS, but for also the fans of Manchester United. Now, we know that social media fans are very impatient. I mean, They've been calling for Eric Ten Hag to be sacked all season, and he may eventually get sacked by INEOS. However, whoever the manager is that comes in should be backed. A manager cannot be there for 2 years and then the results are not working, and then you demand for the managers to be sacked. It takes a lot more to build a club. You can't compare United to Manchester City. Manchester City have been building their club for much longer than United have been. And of course, there's a link to the video I made on Manchester City in the description. You can watch that to get more insight on how Manchester City built their club. So Manchester United fans should be patient enough with INEOS and allow them to build the club. INEOS as well should be patient with whichever manager they are backing. If it is Eric Ten Hag, they should be patient with him. And if it is any other manager they decide to bring in, they should give him enough time to turn the fortunes of the club around. If INEOS can do these 5 things, I believe that Manchester United slowly and steadily would get back to the Manchester United that we've always known. I mean, whether you are a Manchester United fan or not, it's always good to see, the traditional teams of England being at the top. I mean, look at the likes of Real Madrid and Barcelona. They are still at the top regardless of whatever changes have gone around in European football. So it's going to be good for football to see Manchester United once again be back at the top, at the summit of English and European football. If you enjoyed this video, do well to like the video, do well to subscribe to the channel, share it to your friends, family, and other football lovers like you. There are more content coming up on the channel, so do well to click the notification button so you get notified when we drop new video on the Football Slides TV. Thanks for watching again. My name remains Goodness Eze. See you in the next video.